Hello, I'm Dr. Cheryl. Wake up with Dr. Cheryl. Wealth is the ability to fully experience life with Henry David Thoreau. Our show is about the wealth of paying attention to your dreams. Our special and honored guest this evening is Ellie Barron-Druckrey, PhD. Ellie is an author, national speaker, cultural historian, and chicanadreamer with a doctorate in clinical psychology. In her private practice, she brings a vital perspective on dream awareness, imagery, and meditation for personal empowerment to mystics and other gifted artists and seekers. Her research combines 40 years dreaming journals with Toltec and Maya and Aztec dream traditions. She attained a BA degree at the University of California, Berkeley in history, a Master's of Science degree at San Francisco State University, and a doctorate in clinical psychology at the Center of Psychological Studies in Albany, California. Ellie's two authored books are A Medicine Woman's Dream Map, Corn Woman Sings. And the second one is A Dream Map to the Sixth Sun, Restoring Harmony and Balance to Our Lives. Welcome, 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 Ellie. And it's wonderful that you're here, especially after we met and we spoke. It was really a neat experience, and I thought you need to share with all the work that you've done, and welcome.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. It's affirming for me.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I know there's two books here, and I've already done kind of just a brief overview of how you got to where you are. It's just pretty much concise, but please tell us where you're from, where you were born and, how you got here.
Oh, okay. Well, my family, my parents were from Mexico, and they came when they were really young. And I think my mother was 16, my father was 18, and then they met during the Depression. And
in California?
In California,
okay.
yeah. They met during the Depression. He was a musician.
Oh, that's unusual.
And so when the family started growing, my father thought that it would be a good idea to move up here to Northern California. He just felt that the environment was going to be more conducive to education and
more than Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He felt. I really don't know how he felt, because he was a quiet man and he didn't say a lot. But his vision for the family and my mother's vision for the family was that we get an education, and that was really important to them. And we ended up in Stockton. I was born in Whittier, and then Stockton was really where I grew up. And so the whole plan was to have schools walking distance from our home, and that's what they did.
Yeah. What school did you go to in Stockton?
So I went to Grant. I went to Grant School, which is just like we lived on 3rd and Hunter, and Grant was on 2nd and
so
just
it was
a couple
real
of
close.
It was really close.
Yeah.
It just went up to the 5th grade. I did move around a lot because my mother worked as a cook. And my brothers would go away during the summer to do migrant work.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of shifting around, and we were fundamentalists, and there was always a church community that I could stay with, and so that was really the formation of what my experience was in dreaming and music. And
yeah, I mean, it sounds like your father being a musician, a creative person, that it was an incubation for you to be able to.
It was. Initially, I wanted to play the piano, and it being a bigger instrument, it wasn't as easy as buying a trumpet or a guitar for them. So I got a piano that I didn't like because it was old, and my brothers got shiny new trumpets. And, I mean, it was just, it was my innocence. But I did get a piano when I was 12 years old, and I started studying music and reading music. And so that was a really important part of our upbringing. My father was a dreamer, and he always woke up in the morning talking about
his dreams.
Oh, and wow. That was what prompted me to.
Sure, and that was like free flowing and easy.
Yes, yes, it was. I mean, I didn't realize what it meant, how important it would become to me, because I remember starting to dream really early, and I thought, well, what are dreams? And some of the first dreams that I had were about, because church was such a big part of our lives, I just started in a spiritual realm.
And what do you mean?
I remember one of the first dreams that Jesus came to me and showed me how to fly. And we were standing up. It was out in front of our front yard, and he just said, tap your foot, and you can fly, and you just keep your body straight. And I started doing it, and that was the most beautiful feeling that I had, and the most creative experience that I can remember in my earliest years. And we had a lot of music at home. And
I haven't thought about a flying dream until you just mentioned it. And I remember having one years ago. It was so freeing. It was like almost having an out-of-body experience.
It was like that's what it was for me too. It was just really incredible to be experiencing something out of the ordinary, flying, and flying by allowing, I don't know,
like having the freedom,
freedom that it had
to let yourself go, out of your body.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, society doesn't nurture that.
No.
So when you can do that, it is a very freeing and wonderful. I do remember. Now, I haven't thought about that for so long, and I do remember now, and it was like, wow. So it's great that you can let yourself go like that.
Yeah.
So tell us how you started with writing your dreams.
The dreams. I had, well, my mother died when I was when I was 17 or 18.
Oh, that's young.
Yeah. And And shortly after she died, I moved up to San Francisco with my sister-in-law's sisters, and we lived in a convent, and the nuns were kind of supervising us. And I think that was when I started on my own trajectory of what am I going to do with my life. And
do you think that was part of the loss of your mother?
Probably. I think so, because it was, I had this curiosity of what happened from a really early time, because I had a lot of experiences of hearing and seeing spirits, and I didn't understand what it was all about. But also another thing that we had, which was quite an interesting experience for us, is that my father worked for Western Pacific, and so we had free train rides to Mexico.
Oh,
so
nice.
We used to go, and that was also where I started hearing about a different paradigm. I didn't realize that that's what it was, but
At the
it
time,
was like,
yeah.
And then coming back on my own, I lived in San Francisco in about my 22, 23. I was living pretty much on my own, but what was kind of opening up to me is that I was very curious about the occult. I had this sense that there was something that I needed to know about. And I started having night visitors and spirits and things like that made me even more curious.
Did you write all this down?
I didn't really start writing anything down until I had graduated. The curiosity that I had led me to major in history, and I went to Cal and majored in U.S. and Latin American history. Mm-hmm. And from there, the research that I started inquiring into started taking me into different places, and I was really curious to find out what was real for me. And to be awakened at night with a face right in front of you asking me what if I really wanted to know, I just kind of opened my eyes and I thought, my goodness, I didn't know what to do. It was just really out of the
this is
ordinary.
like another spirit?
Another spirit just
okay.
asking me, do you really want to know? Because I was so curious, and I was starting to do yoga, and
mm-hmm.
I had done yoga for a really long time because I had an eye turned in, and part of the treatment for that was yoga.
Yeah.
So
sure.
there had been a lot of things in my background that were leading me into a spiritual realm that I was really curious about. So when I graduated from Cal, it started taking so much form that I was walking during the day, looking behind me to see if someone was following me. But at night, you know, they would touch me, and they would, I would just see, it was disconcerting, but it didn't stop me. So I thought, okay, I started writing my dreams down, and it kind of took all that energy that was keeping me awake and started focusing on the dreams themselves, so that I felt that something was starting to lead the dream experience. And I started, one of the earliest dreams the early part when I first started writing the dreams, I had a lot of fear, sort of like this eye that was watching me, and it was terrifying to me. So I just kept at it. I kept writing down what I was seeing, and pretty soon something else started opening up.
What is the fear? You mean just like the fear of the unknown, or what was the fear?
Well, I'm not sure what it was. I think it was just fear, just a fear of being seen, of being, of the unknown. And as I kept investigating and watching the dreams, I began to have I had more of an ability to starting to direct the dreams.
And you were probably trusting it more.
I started trusting more, and I started having dream guides. There was a woman that showed up the very first time that I became aware of her. I was swimming.
Is this in your dream?
In the dream.
Yeah.
I was swimming at the edge of the ocean, and I came back and I picked up my towel and I was drying my hair, and she walks up to me and she says, can I come with you? And she's talking to me in Spanish, and I hadn't been speaking Spanish for a long time since my mother had died, and this was by the time I was in my really early 30s. And I looked at her, and something felt really familiar, and I liked her, and she was vibrant and energetic. And I said, yes, of course. And she actually became a touchstone for me that I eventually I started referring to her as grandmother. And she would take me on these journeys where I would become aware of that I was dreaming, and I would start looking for her, and she would say, she would impart some kind of wisdom. One of the early ones that I remember her saying is that, you know, if you want to find love, you have to love. And by that time, I had a couple of dreams where they were starting to change my consciousness. There was
in what way?
Can I read from the book?
Please.
And that
please.
way it can help me get
flow.
focused.
Yeah, no, it's, you know.
Yeah, here's one where before I had I had already met her, and she was starting to appear more often, and I was questioning, well, who is she, and why does she come to me? But here's one. I'm in a kiva, standing on a wooden platform when I become conscious. I look at the lights and colors and soft blues and greens and purples, dragon-like figures flowing toward me, around me, and away like fish swimming around seaweed. And people are gathering, and all of a sudden I become aware that I am the focus of the dream, and that I am going to be doing something important. And I feel the support of my family as I gaze around the gathering, and they also are waiting in anticipation. So grandmother appears, and she's telling me that my assignment is to turn night into day. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? And so, you know, the nearest I could come to understanding what she's asking of me is that I get in a yogic position. I just, you know, I get down on my knees, I stretch my back and my arms out, and I put my forehead to the floor, and I say, in a real soft whisper almost, night into day. And I think, okay, nothing's happening. So then I get more, become more assertive, for lack of a better word, or I get stronger. And I say the second time, night into day. And I hear the clap of thunder, and there's a glimmer of light, and little by little the energy of the night starts shifting into day. And when I awoke from the dream, I had no idea. I mean, I knew that there was a metaphor for that, what I was being shown, but I felt that it was an initiation of some kind. It was a puzzle to me. So as time went on, I began to have more decision, the power of decision within my dreams. And those figures that I had seen earlier that caused me fear, because also in the waking state I was starting to read a lot more about my culture and the native cultures, and I just felt that it was important to be aware of when I was dreaming and what I was dreaming, and to have more say in what happened to me in my dreams. Now, I don't know where these ideas came from, because it was all, I mean, this was coming from the dreams and the impact that the spirits were having on me. They were no longer outside of me, but in the dream state.
Do you think that allowed you to interpret your dreams in a clearer, more precise way?
Well,
going through that?
I think so. Well, I still didn't understand what I was dreaming, but I had a sense that I had to come face to face with the fear that I experienced. So that...
Do you think that was like the night, interpreting the night?
Yes, exactly.
The fears, the darkness.
Yes, exactly. That I was wondering, well, what would be light? What there was a marked awareness. Oh yeah, and then I was starting to read the Course in Miracles, and I was starting to inquire into dreams and find what stillness of mind was. And I also started thinking that if something was terrifying to me, I had to confront it and face it, that the dream guides that were showing me how to be present within the dream were making it possible. It felt like they were making it possible for me to stand up and take action.
Without fear?
Without fear. And I would say that the initiation dream came like maybe 6 months after I started keeping a journal. But there was another one, The Power of the Mountain, came about 2 years later. And in that one, I'm facing this huge boulder, and I'm looking at it, and it's taking, it has an energy of its own, and it's it has a power within it that is becoming more pronounced, and the bigger that energy gets, the deeper the fear. I mean, I start really...
I'm real curious what was going on in your life at that point in time.
I had been working as legal administrator in a law firm. I had been a law firm,
Yeah.
you know, a legal secretary,
my
and then had gone up a notch by becoming a manager. And someone had died in the firm, and I was going to take on the responsibility that the accountant had, and and the administrator, and I tried to take a math class and accounting, and it just wasn't working for me. And I realized that I needed to really confront what life meant to me. And it must have been the influence of the dreams and having a sense that night into day had something to do with how I was living my life without coming fully into the present moment. Now,
without fear.
Without fear. And so when I encountered the fear of this beautiful boulder, I realized that I had to confront it. And so okay, so then I see that I sit down on a comfortable chair and face in toward the mountain to hold the experience as long as possible. That was another thing I was starting to do, is that the fear that I was experiencing, I needed to face it, and so I discerned that there is a light above me, and apparently a psychiatrist can meet her clients in the room and look at the stars for direction. My awareness of the presence, instead of asking myself to leave the dream, I am starting to breathe deeper and feel the fear and stay in it. And so as that continues to deepen, I discover that I am participating in a give and receive relationship with it. It just isn't any mountain. It's a vibration that extends from the epicenter of the rock, a gracious unfolding of radiance and warmth that reverberates in me and enlivens me with the like.
So it's getting through the fear.
So it was getting through the fear.
Yeah.
And so as I kept breathing, that fear, that feeling and the energy from the rock began to transform me. And it
sounds like it was on a very deep level.
It was.
Because the rock sounds much bigger than you.
Oh, it was huge.
And your fear, probably, that's what it seemed like.
Because what happened is that that job, I was given the opportunity to go back to school, to become an accountant, to do to really have more impact on my waking life.
Right.
And I started thinking, it's not really what I want.
Yeah.
And so so we decided to have a parting of the ways. They needed an accountant, and I didn't want to go in that direction. So they gave me a really good severance package, and I gave myself time to decide. And it was this dream, because what happened is that it was a gracious unfolding, a radiance and warmth that reverberated in me, and that reverberates in me and enlivens me with its like, passing through me and stretching me with it beyond the boundaries of the world and into infinity. And when I woke up from that dream, it was like it just took me. It flattened me out. I lost my body. I just went with the energy. I went out through the top of my head. And I went out into infinity. And when I came back, I thought, I can't do this. I can't be doing what I have been doing. And it was at that time that I started thinking that I needed to teach dream awareness.
Okay, that's how it began.
That's when it began.
That is, I love this story, because you had this huge rock, and it was like having a cross, in your life. You were at a crossroads.
Yes, it was a really major turning point, and I just kind of jumped in. My first class that I advertised dream awareness, it was like, I got 40 students.
Oh,
and I thought,
that was your first time.
And that was my first time.
Well, see, you were right on with the energy
I
flow.
was. I was. And I decided to go back to graduate school and just explore mind-body connection.
Did you continue the dream classes?
No, I encountered.
You needed to go deeper with.
I needed to go deeper with it, but also the school was really not happy with my practicing.
Oh, wow.
Without a license and making
Oh.
it, you know,
Oh.
I got into the bureaucratic aspects of it, so
Yeah.
I kind of put that on hold
Yeah, yeah,
for a really long time.
yeah, yeah.
But
You didn't have the support that you
I didn't.
deserved.
No, but it was that very experience.
I mean, how do you get a license for dream awareness?
I couldn't.
I mean, is there
what
such a thing?
No.
No.
What I was studying was the mind-body connection,
Yeah.
and
Because that's what it is. I mean, that's what
was.
dreams are. Is your mind
Yes.
and keeping that
yes,
together.
Yes, and what
And
I started. Yeah, I just started getting. Making connection with the information I was finding, and dreams and culture, and I just realized that there was something different that I had to discover for myself. And it was the dynamic, and what I ended up doing was exploring, delving into the paradigm that had been lost for me, the finding out that the people that I was meeting were really the ancestors.
You mean in your dreams?
In my dreams.
Okay, and they were trying to give you messages.
Yeah. And it was.
You didn't push it away.
I didn't. I wasn't pushing it away,
No.
and so what I did end up pushing away was the licensing process, and really. Excuse me.
Except that you went back and got your PhD.
I did.
In psychology.
But you know, and again, there were other dreams that awakened me to
taking it.
Taking it again. It was.
Yeah, I'm curious what dreams that really stand out for you to where you got today, where you are today.
So there was a group of elders that were becoming really familiar to me, and again I'm standing and I'm wondering what. Okay, I find myself in a kiva, and they are.
You know, a kiva
is an underground holy place.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And I walk in, and they tell me they're just observing me, and there's a huge crack of kind of like turn night into day. There was that clap again, and this time it was like a drum that had cracked, and so one of the elders points to me and says, and there's more power where that comes from, and the other one nods, and I wake up and I think, there's more power where that comes from. It has to do with night into day. And in the morning when I wake up, just before I wake up, a spirit is at the foot of the bed, and at the foot of the bed is my dream catcher.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And he pulls on it, and I think, okay. I look at that and I think about it, I think about the dream. And by this time, it's like I'm not looking at dreams, I'm looking at the dreams energetically.
Yeah.
And I guess this was about 10 years from the dream of the mountain.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Or maybe more like 7 years.
Yeah.
But I had already started finding out more and more about the culture, and had already, so when I woke up from that dream, I stopped to think about it, and I thought, what are they trying to tell me? What are they telling me? And the first thing that came to mind was all these notebooks that I had about dreams, and I thought, oh, I need to start typing those up and categorizing them.
Yeah.
And you know, it just seemed like a far-fetched dream, but I worked on it for about 3 years, and I got a manuscript of about 250 pages. I had the certain kinds of dreams where some of them were about power, others were about transformation, others were about nature, others were about magic. And as I was going through them, I kept thinking, I need to do something. I need to go back to school and do some more research. Well, that was going to take a lot of money, you know, and I thought, I don't know. I had started having some health problems, and I thought, how am I going to do that? So I just kind of kept doing it. And I started sending the manuscript out, and people weren't interested because I had no interpretation of the dreams, and I didn't have a body of work that people could understand. And so I just kept doing what I was doing, and then I started looking for money. And lo and behold, I met someone, and she said, I know where you can get some money. And I said, oh yeah, wow. And she says, put your work together, and you have an illness. I'll find a way for you to get some money. And sure enough, she got me into a program. She was a social worker. She got me into a program where all of the research was going to be paid for.
Oh, wonderful.
And that's when
Do you remember being conscious and asking for that?
Oh yeah, I was.
I mean, before it happened, you know. I mean, It came to you in one of your dreams, or
Well,
consciously?
I'm kind of losing what happened or how it happened, but I sent out about 70 or 80 requests for a publisher and different nonprofits.
Yeah.
So, so I had the intention. The
Right,
intention was there of finding someone.
Well, you put a lot of work into
I
that.
did. And I think the whole project took me about 3 years, and then within 6 months I was in a program. And the other thing that used to happen is that if I got even the slightest slack in my attention to documenting and typing and categorizing, those elders would come and they would, you know, they would say, they'd ask me, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Accountability.
Accountability. Grandmother took me to the Empire State Building, and she took me to someone who was a writer and who was a successful writer. And so she says, okay, so you're going to go meet her, and I'll wait for you down here. So I went upstairs, and Empire State Building, I don't know how many levels I went up, but I went in there, and she was at her desk, and she's putting her books in a stack and, you know, making noise with her books, and I'm standing in front of her, and I'm, oh, okay, so, and then she points at some books on a bookshelf, and she tells me to go see them. And I'm looking at them, and I said, there's 5 books here, and I wrote them. And I come back, and so she's looking at me, and she knows that I'm supposed to, that those are the books that I'm supposed to write. And and so I look at it, and I come back to her, and she said, have you been doing what you're supposed to be doing? And I thought, no, but I lie through my teeth, and I'm thinking, I need to get on it again. And, you know, and it was like I came back with a new resolution. And I guess that was when the money came through for the program.
Oh, sure.
And I was really flabbergasted when I found that there was a tradition that had gone, a dreamers that had gone underground. And that.
What do you mean by that?
That, well, when the cultures clashed, and the Catholic Church arrived in the Americas, it became pretty dangerous for them to be practicing.
Oh, okay.
So
and
they went underground.
The elders that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
because the Catholics are not open-minded
they were
to
not.
that.
No.
Yeah.
There were a lot of deaths, and a lot of the deaths that happened also happened because they were. It was just too much power for the natives to have.
Oh, interesting.
And so I'm forgetting where the dreams of that I started having about. I mean, I guess all of the dreams converged as they came more and more clear to me. I started realizing that I was the source of the fear, that I needed to examine my fear and become that we all had this responsibility. By then, I had, as I was studying, working with people, I started working with people who had life-threatening illness, and I started discovering that I had the ability to guide them from this realm into their next realm, and that I became conscious of other realms, and that I had to deal with the physical experience of being afraid to expand, my consciousness to expand. So all as I addressed the fear and I'm becoming conscious and I'm starting to help people make their transition from the waking into the next realm, I start really facing that I need us to be transformed. And then, years passed, but there were a lot of things that made me start paying attention, that I had to take care of, come clean. I had to be accountable, that I couldn't just be, by then I had heard the word psychopomp. You can't just be a psychopomp and have all these other feelings within you, fear, anger. Anger was a huge part of me. When I started going through menopause, it was like, ugh. And I started really looking at what I was doing with my life. I became more conscious of how I lived.
Our time has gone by so fast. We only have like 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's like a time warp here.
Yeah.
So what I want to ask you is, I know we really haven't covered your, well, this is all part of your book.
It is. This was the paradigm that I found, where the aliveness of nature calls to us, and we are a part of that. We're water, we are that aliveness, we are that power. Trees that communicated with me in my dreams started communicating with me in my waking state. And that's what I talk about in this dream, in this book.
Yeah.
And the dream map to the sixth sun is that this isn't the one. There's seeds that were being planted. Here's one that I looked at. I walk up a mountain with a group of people. We are on retreat in the desert. The flap of the bird's wings makes us duck quickly as it flies overhead. I glance upward and I see that it has a tremendous wingspan. That diminishes us by comparison, and makes the bird look like a large airplane. But I'll just skip through it. He alights on the boulder just a few feet away from us. I tilt my head back and see his full flight. He adjusts his wings majestically at his sides and looks at me. His dark eye tells me he is there for a reason, for us to drink in the wonder of his splendor. We can't help but behold him and revel in his royal presence. And it is that where I leave off and this book begins.
Oh, okay.
And in this one, I'll just read really briefly that that part where I mentioned to you that we have arrived in the thick of the sixth sun, as the Mayan and Aztec calendars prophesied. My hope is that you will turn the knob, open the door, and find the harmony and balance your heart longs for. As the Aztec poet Xochihuitztli tells us, it is not true that we come to this earth to live. We come only to sleep and only to dream. And that is what this is about. Going through the fear, finding those places within us where we are one with everything. We don't find them neatly laid out. I certainly didn't. I had to really dig deep. I had to allow myself to be transformed and to let go of my earthly addictions.
Amen. I mean, that's what our society feeds into.
Yes.
And it's it takes work. It takes discipline. It does.
I've been out this for 40 years, and I'm just coming up with this. And this is where I really face the demons.
Yeah.
I invite them, that fear.
Yeah.
It was my demons coming to stop me, to say, you can't dream big. You can't be who you really are. But our real spirit is that connection with spirit.
And that I was going to ask before you did this is, what can you share with the viewers to assist, to help them to free themselves enough to be able to listen to their dreams? And I know sometimes dreams are kind of abstract and it's hard to interpret, but when you get in the practice of it, it becomes
the avenue really does open up.
Yes.
Everybody has an inner teacher that will guide them.
Yes.
For me, it was letting go of my addictions, big time.
Yeah.
You know, whatever I needed, shopping, money, boyfriends, husbands, all of that. I had to learn how to be a human being.
Yeah, and be yourself innately, naturally.
Yes.
Wholesomely.
Yes,
Yeah,
to not
absolutely.
be afraid of the power,
Yeah.
but not to pump myself up with it.
No, that's the ego anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And what the real lesson for me has been is to recognize when I'm in the ego and recognize when higher.
Oh, I've been working on that for years.
Oh,
it's a
challenge.
It is a challenge. It is. And listening to your higher self. But thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I think we could probably go on for another
another
session.
I thought that I had it all planned out, but it was almost like I went back into those places to elicit.
Well, no, but that's
really
good
going.
because I love using this as an example for people to learn from. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
Aside from, of course, you sharing your intimate connection here.
Thank you.
know.
Can I just read this one paragraph?
Go for it.
Okay. Okay, so here's Cuautlic's work. I started meeting with the gods and goddesses as I went along, and I started, well, how do they play into our lives today? So when I started writing, this is what started opening up for me. I am the mother of your mother, providing the spiritual nourishment that will take your last breath and bring you safely into the next stage of awareness. I continue to do my dream work and am aware of your actions in other worlds where you create and co-create with yourself and sister and brother travelers. Everyone dreams, but most have forgotten that sleep is more than a time to rest. Sleep is for sharpening your spiritual senses, a rich period of creativity. To dream within dreaming is a gift one gives to oneself. The ability to remember increases in time and space.
Oh, yes. Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really been a pleasure meeting you and your spirit and what you are doing.
Never give up wherever you are in your life. Have faith in something bigger than yourself. First and foremost, with your family and friends. Be grateful for your freedom and eat healthy, good nutrition. Feed your mind and your body temple. Don't forget to exercise. Prayer. Love yourself unconditionally. Stop criticizing, stop judging, and allowing others to dominate the way you feel and think about yourself. Be compassionate and share your abundance and wealth with others. When fear knocks, let faith answer the door. Thank you, Marin TV, for facilitating our show, and especially to my crew, Eric and Brad. Thank you, thank you. Please support and become a member of Marin TV. Bye for now. Until next time.